The Victoria Day long weekend is usually the unofficial start of summer, but something feels a bit glum this year. Summer vacation plans are either canceled or in limbo, unless you are planning to stick close to home, because that's where most of us will be. An Ipsos poll conducted exclusively for Global News found even if they were allowed, only 20% of Canadians surveyed said they'd likely travel outside the country in 2020. 50% said they likely wouldn't. Slightly more people are open to domestic travel. 37% said they'd venture beyond their home province. Travel is at a standstill. Few industries have fallen as far, as fast, and when it does recover, things will look a lot different. Jackson Proskow explains.
Over the years, Canadians Bob and Dorothy Grubb have taken more than a dozen cruises. Their last trip sailed right into a global health crisis. In March, they were on board the Grand Princess, trapped off the coast of California, as a mysterious virus spread through the passengers and crew. They first noticed something wasn't right when their favorite waiter wasn't at dinner.
One evening, he just wasn't there, and I asked what happened. Oh, he's off sick. Okay. So the next day he is back, and I said, oh, Xavier, good to see you back. I said, but you look tired. He said, I'm okay. The next day, Xavier isn't there. He's off sick again.
Soon, the U.S. Coast Guard was airlifting COVID-19 test kits to the boat. The Grubbs were confined to their cabin, waiting for a plan to get off the ship and get home to British Columbia without getting sick.
Off to our cabins, meals placed at our door with a knock on the door, and that was the end of any contact with people.
Those were the first days of the pandemic, before every cruise ship stopped sailing, before air travel dropped a staggering 95%, before the Las Vegas Strip sat empty. It's safe to say travelers and the travel industry have never seen anything like this.
So my last flight was on March 1st, and I can't remember a time I've gone this long without being in the sky.
Brian Kelly is better known as the Points Guy, as founder of the travel website. He warns this shock to the system will lead to immediate and permanent changes to the way we travel.
Should you expect that when you check into a hotel or get on a plane that someone's going to be taking your temperature?
Health checks are here to stay. Just like after 9/11, lengthy airport checks were implemented. The same will be happening and is happening in the airline space. Right now, Emirates is actually doing instant COVID tests, and Etihad has temperature checks on their check-in kiosks, and those are just a couple of the ways that the travel experience will be changed forever.
Air Canada will be the first airline in North America to do temperature checks on every passenger, not just to stop travelers from infecting each other, but because the public is nervous, very nervous, about getting back out there.
I hope they don't think that things are going to be exactly as they were prior to COVID-19.
Lori Pennington Gray is a professor in the Department of Tourism at the University of Florida. The school publishes a travel anxiety index. It shows fear and worry about travel have increased a whopping 311% from pre-coronavirus days.
Do people even want to travel right now?
The majority of the research is saying that there's still, some pent-up demand, but that they're going to wait 6 months or so before they start to think about their travel. And a lot of that has to do with this understanding of what the industry is going to do to keep them safe.
And we're off. Here we go.
Long before COVID-19, supermodel Naomi Campbell documented her own airplane disinfection routine. Back then, it seemed over the top.
I do not care what people think of me. It's my health.
Nobody's laughing now.
At American Airlines, caring for you is our priority.
Airlines have come to realize that deep cleaning is a must. So are masks for flight attendants and passengers. A company called Germ Falcon is developing equipment to disinfect the entire cabin between flights using ultraviolet light. Major hotel chains are partnering with name-brand disinfectant manufacturers. Expect big changes when cruise ships finally do return to the sea.
And so the research also suggests that more than 60% expect that the industry is going to have to provide, PPE for the visitors at touch points throughout the travel experience, and that there's more than 70% that say that there's an expectation that they're going to share what they're doing with the visitor as far as keeping that visitor safe.
There's one basic problem the industry can't overcome: social distancing. It's hard to do in a hotel lobby or on board a cruise ship, and virtually impossible on a plane, train, or bus. That hasn't stopped the rush to return to the high seas. Carnival Cruises aims to sail again in August. They've seen a remarkable surge in bookings for those first few trips, mostly from young people who, in fact, are eager to travel. Of course, the pandemic may change those plans. There's still a chance those first sailings could be called off.
I think the biggest calculation is going to have to be how many people am I going to be around and expose myself to and be exposed by them in various settings, and what are the current recommendations, and what am I comfortable with.
Some airlines have tried to space out passengers by leaving middle seats open, but they can't do that forever. Empty seats don't make money, and the airlines are in dire straits. Delta is losing $60 million a day. Air Canada lost more than $1 billion in the first quarter. Carriers are sending hundreds of older planes to the scrapyard, anticipating demand will take years to return to what it was. Most have said they'll emerge smaller. Some likely won't survive, even with government bailouts.
Unfortunately, the industry will consolidate. The weak airlines, especially budget airlines, will not have the funds to compete with the majors. So the airline industry has never seen a challenge like this, and they've got a long road to recovery since business travel and leisure travel are both off a cliff.
Those problems are cascading through an industry that's responsible for 1 in 10 jobs worldwide.
It is across the board because the connectivity and the dependency of all these industries within the sector is significant. What we call the domino effect, in this case, like if one airline is being impacted, then you have, of course, the travel agencies, the tour operators, the hotels.
No one is expecting a quick rebound. In the short term, there aren't many places to travel to, not with borders closed, and not with many countries implementing mandatory quarantine on arrival. Nobody is going to spend 2 weeks vacation in forced isolation. Longer term, businesses may decide travel is just not worth the risk. And when it comes time to relax, more of us may opt to stick close to home. 2020 may be the year of the road trip. Back in BC, the Grub's future vacation plans definitely look different. No flights and no cruises. Not now, and probably not anytime soon.
Unless we can see a vaccine that's going to work, cleanliness stepped up on the ships, we wouldn't be touring. We're just not willing to take that risk. We wouldn't be going. We've made the decision. We are not going on a cruise, period. That's end of story. Too risky. Too risky.